Hello and welcome to this tutorial on the Moore Industries HART concentrator system, also known as the model HCS. In this tutorial, we're going to be focusing on the functionality of the HART tab and the HART tab only. All these other tabs will be covered in separate tutorials, so you don't have to watch one long tutorial. You can go directly to the tab you want to learn about. So without further ado, the first box we encounter here is the number of HART devices. So you would put in the number of HART slaves that you're going to have, whether you have a point-to-point loop, which means it's just one HART slave, or as many as 16 can be monitored with the HCS. So for right now, we'll just keep it at 1, and we'll show how that works shortly. The communication settings, the master mode. Now, in the HART protocol, you can have 2 masters on any HART loop, but one must be designated the primary and the other must be designated the secondary. They're really equal, so don't worry about the name secondary. It's no lesser of a master than is the primary. It's just to avoid, you identify them separately so to avoid confusion. So by default, the HCS is defined as a primary master. The number of retries, this is so that if the HART master, which in case is the HCS, sends a request for data from a HART slave and it does not get a response, it'll try 3 more times to get that response before it determines that there's a problem on the HART loop. Down here we have a burst mode. You can check that on or off. If you typically you want to leave it off because the burst mode, well, in normal mode, you get a response time of about 500 milliseconds per request for data. In burst mode, it's a little faster, 333 milliseconds in the burst mode. But when you go into the burst mode, the HCS sends a command to the HART slave to go into burst mode, and the HART slave will now start constantly sending data without any requests at all. But again, I recommend you leave it in normal mode unless you absolutely require that faster speed. And down here, additional status, will show that in a few moments, the advantages of acquiring additional status. So without further ado, let's get some communications going. I do have one device out there right now, so we'll see if we can get it to read. And there is the primary variable list right here, 21.7 degrees. That's the temperature in my lab here. Okay, so let's stop that for now. Let's add a few more devices on here to see how it all works. So I want 3 devices. You got to make sure I enter the address for the new devices, and they all have to be unique addresses. They can't have any duplicates. So I have cleverly addressed them as 0, 1, and 2. Okay, now we'll take a look and see if they are working. Oh, let's stop there. I forgot one step. Back to here. I forgot to download my configuration. There's my changes. I got 3 devices. Here's my 3 addresses. Make sure you download the configuration to the HCS. Here we have it. Now we should be able to read those new devices as well as my original device. Oh, we have a device malfunction there. I think I have a loose sensor here, so we'll turn that on. Okay, now it's reading correctly. And here's where I want to show you with the acquire additional statuses. We'll go back to that device number 2, which is on address 1. And we see we have a device malfunction. And we want to find out what is the problem with that device. So we'll go to the status of HART devices here and go to device number 2. You see device malfunction, but additional status bytes has no information on there because I did not ask for additional data. So we know the device has a malfunction, but we don't know why. So let's go back to the HART tab. Let's do a stop right there. And we'll say acquire additional status. And now we'll download that change to my HCS. And here's the real interesting part, and I'll show you why. Okay, we'll get it running again. And the device seems to be working okay. Device number 2, which is address 1, seems to be working okay, but it has an intermittent problem. Well, there it comes right back again. It's got a device malfunction. And over here, you can see the slave device malfunction here. So let's go to the status now. After we acquired additional status, we'll go to the status of the HART devices. Number 2 again. And look, lo and behold, we have additional status bytes. Now, this is very informative. You can maybe find out what's wrong with that device out there if you know how the manufacturer of the HART slave, how he codes his errors. So I'm going to pull in excerpt from the manual for my device there, and we can see it here. And if we look at the data bits, I can't look at both at the same time, but what we'll find out is it's this bit right here, sensor wire 2 is broken. Now this is kind of important because if you know what's wrong with that transmitter, and let's say by example that transmitter is on the top of a stack, and you're going to send a technician up to the top of that stack to find out what the problem is, it'd be nice to know ahead of time what they might be looking for. So in this case, we have a broken sensor wire. So that's on my temperature sensor on that HART slave. So if the technician were to go up there with a new sensor, or at least he knows what he's looking for in the first place, doesn't have to go up needlessly all the way up a stack, which could be dangerous, and depending on weather, might not even be able to get it done in one day. So there you have it. That's if you have the good documentation from the manufacturer of the HART slave. So let me push this out of the way. And here we are back. There's the data bits that were set from my broken wire. So we'll go back to there. And that is it for the HART tab. And remember, as long as your slaves, if they understand the HART command 48, and we'll move this back here, and you can see it here, the HART command 48, that's when the HART master is asking for more information about the failure. And if it puts that information in there, you can acquire that additional status, and you know a little bit about what kind of failure you have before you have to go out to the field and examine that HART slave. So there you have it. That is for the HART tab. Thank you for listening and have a good day.